When NBA teams make a trade, there's always usually one team that comes out on top of the deal, walking away as winners. However, in some very rare cases, both teams actually benefit from the deal in what's called a win-win trade. So in today's video, we're going to break down 5 win-win trades from the last 5 years of NBA history. Starting off with the one in the thumbnail, Utah Jazz and Cleveland Cavaliers complete a trade for Donovan Mitchell. Going to Utah in this trade was Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Ochai Agbaji, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. And Markkanen has been great for Utah. After showing some good potential on the Bulls, Markkanen's career really took a hit when he joined the Cavs. However, in his first season with Utah, he was phenomenal. He was an all-star starter. He averaged 26 points and 9 rebounds on 49% from the field, 40% from 3, and 88% from the free throw line. And Markkanen really rejuvenated his career. Colin Sexton signed a 4-year, $72 million deal with Utah right after the trade. And he had a pretty good season himself for his first year in Utah. Obviously, it wasn't how good he was before his main injury, but he still showed a lot of promise that we've seen before. And Ochai Agbaji, the rookie out of Kansas, he's going to be a big part of the Jazz going forward. And we don't even know how the picks turned out. And so with the picks transferring to the Jazz in the next couple of years as the 2025 and 2026 drafts roll in, I think the Jazz are going to have a really good outcome out of this deal. And the Cavs didn't lose. They also won as well. And while they only got one player, Donovan Mitchell, he was very impactful. In his first season in Cleveland, he averaged 28 points and finished 5th in MVP voting. He led the team to the 4 seed, and he even broke a record held by LeBron James. He scored the most 40-point games in a season in Cavs history, and he even scored 71 points in a game. So the Jazz got Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Ochai Agbaji, great rookie, and some picks. The Cavs' future is also very bright. They added Donovan Mitchell to a group of Garland, Allen, and Mobley. And in just 1 year, Mitchell was able to move them from a team that lost in the play-in all the way to the 4th seed. Yes, they did lose in the first round to the Knicks, but this team has such a bright future. If those 4 guys can stick together and put it together on the court and know how to work together, this team could be a big dynasty in the East for years to come. This next trade is one that happened just this trade deadline. The Suns got Kevin Durant and TJ Warren in exchange for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and a bunch of first-round picks you guys can read on the screen. But yeah, the Nets got a bunch of picks, and they got Mikal Bridges, who became amazing on offense as soon as he got the space to operate as the first option on the team. Cam Johnson is also a very solid player, and Kevin Durant is one of the best scorers in the entire NBA, if not the best scorer, and now he goes to the Suns to join Devin Booker. And in the playoffs, because they didn't have Chris Paul, the two of them couldn't really carry this team, and the team also lacked some bench depth. So Kevin Durant and Devin Booker couldn't carry this team to the finals. They ultimately ended up losing to the champion Nuggets in 6 games in the second round. So when we look at it currently, I do think that the Nets are currently winning this deal, but the Suns also won, but the Nets have got the better end of the deal. Mikal Bridges, in the part of the season he played with the Nets, he averaged 26 points on 48% from the field, 38% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. This guy pretty much turned into KD, and he's amazing on defense. He was known for his 3-and-D ability, but once he got the opportunity to have the ball in his hands, he was dropping 40 pieces left and right. Mikal Bridges is going to be a big star for the Brooklyn Nets. And KD and the Suns, I'm not sure if that's going to work out. They recently did waive Chris Paul. I think him and Devin Booker had too much on their plate. They did carry. They scored pretty much like 70 to 80 every game. But if they really want to contend for that championship, they're going to have more than those 2 guys, because once their bench comes on, they're toast. This next one is a draft day deal from 2018. I'm pretty sure you guys already know what it is. The Mavs trade the 5th pick and a first-round pick for the 3rd pick in the draft. They use that 3rd pick to select Luka Doncic, while the Hawks get Trae Young at number 5, and they end up selecting Cam Reddish with that extra pick they got. Let's talk about Luka. In his first 5 seasons with the team, he's been amazing. He averaged 28 points, 8 assists, and 9 rebounds on some pretty good shooting splits. However, the team hasn't had the success that many envisioned for a guy of Luka's caliber. I mean, they've gone to 1 Western Conference Finals where they got whooped by the Warriors in like 5 games. And other than that, the team has been struggling. And right now, I think the Mavericks are at their lowest point of Luka's career, because with Kyrie Irving and Luka, they missed out on the playoffs. And I think there's a lot of blame to put on Kyrie, and even Luka. So I think both of them are held accountable, and now Kyrie is a free agent. So I'm not sure if Luka will stay with the Mavericks for the next couple seasons or he'll eventually demand a trade. And he's been a phenomenal player. However, it hasn't translated to winning basketball. And yeah, you can talk about him not having the best teammates. That is true. The management hasn't done the best job to surround Luka with the best teammates, but I'm surprised they haven't done better because they haven't had much good regular season success either. That one run to the Western Conference Finals was Luka being amazing alongside the help of Jalen Brunson. When we look at it from the Hawks' perspective, they also made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. They put up a better fight, but they did end up ultimately losing to the Bucks in 6. And Trey has put up great stats, 25.5 points per game, 9.5 assists per game. He's a great player. And the Hawks have even built a better core around Trey than the Mavericks have around Luka. Guys like DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Sadiq Bey, John Collins, Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Onyeka Okongwu. Like, it's a much better core compared to what the Mavericks have. And I think even though the Hawks do have a much better core around their star point guard, their best success was that Eastern Conference Finals run, and the next 2 seasons they definitely took a step back. This season they put up a good fight against the Celtics in round 1, and the Celtics are a very hard opponent. But if the Hawks want to move past that first round status and make more runs like the one they did in 2021, they're going to have to make some big decisions like finally pulling the trigger on a John Collins trade and seeing if they could pair Trey and DeJounte up with a better wing or better big man to improve the overall team, and just things like that. The Hawks are, I will say, in a much better position than the Mavericks, and they have the pieces to get trades done as well. I didn't really mention Cam Reddish, but he had some good offensive potential before the Hawks traded him away to the Knicks, and from the Knicks he's gone to the Blazers. He really hasn't found much playing time because of his bad defense. This next deal is between the Pacers and Thunder. It's a Paul George for Oladipo and Sabonis trade. And initially, most people thought the Thunder fleeced the Pacers, but Oladipo and Sabonis had shown some potential in OKC, but with the time in Indiana, they really got to expand and play well together. Let's talk about Oladipo, because in his couple seasons in Indiana, he was able to become an all-NBA and all-star level player. In his time with Indiana, he averaged 21 points per game, 4 assists, 5 rebounds on decent shooting splits, but he was really good, and then he had a really drastic injury, which ultimately lowered his stats. And this is also where Sabonis made himself a name in the league, and a lot of people knew him because of his father, but he really played at an all-star level and was selected to 1 or 2 all-star games at this time. Let's talk about what the Thunder got. Paul George is a phenomenal player, but Russell Westbrook needed a superstar teammate again. It'd been a couple years since he's been without KD, and yes, he did win that MVP, but the team hadn't gone beyond the first round, and he felt with a guy like Paul George, they could accomplish that. So Paul George in his first season, he was pretty good, but in his second season, he really took off. He was 3rd in the league in MVP, and in his time with OKC, he averaged 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, on some pretty nice shooting splits. Both these teams actually went to the playoffs. A lot of people wrote Indiana off and thought they might tank, but they were able to make the playoffs, and they were able to actually take LeBron James to 7 games in his 2018 finals run with the Cavs. And the Thunder also had some struggles in the playoffs. Although they had Westbrook and Paul George, they were also never able to make it past the first round. And in 2019, the famous Dame buzzer ended their season, and that's a very cool story because Paul George gets traded, Russell Westbrook gets traded, so that buzzer pretty much changed the entire Oklahoma City franchise. Our final trade of the day, which also has to do with Sabonis, is the Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield for Domantas Sabonis trade between the Pacers and Kings last trade deadline. So let's talk about what the Pacers got. They got themselves a franchise point guard. Tyrese Halliburton has been fantastic ever since he's joined the Pacers. In the 2 seasons, he's averaged 20 points per game, 10 assists on some really good shooting splits. And don't forget about Buddy Hield either. He's first in 3-pointers made ever since that trade happened, and he shot 41% on threes. So he's been able to make the highest volume while also shooting the best percentage. He's been great for them, and those 2 guys have been very good. But Tyrese Halliburton is the future of the Indiana Pacers. He's shown what he can do with his team. They actually had a playoff spot for a good amount of time until Tyrese went out with an injury. Let's talk about the Kings because they also got some good players. Domantas Sabonis was the main guy who suited up for the Kings. He formed a duo with De'Aaron Fox, and his playmaking went up on passes to Keegan Murray and Kevin Huerter, who both worked well in the dribble handoff set, and they were both able to shoot a lot of threes. Keegan Murray broke the record for most threes by a rookie, and Domantas Sabonis helped lead this team to the playoffs. The Kings broke their record of 16 straight years without the playoffs, and the team ended up as the 3 seed. De'Aaron Fox won Clutch Player of the Year, and Domantas Sabonis was also amazing. He averaged 19 points per game, 7 assists, 12 rebounds on some pretty decent splits for him. The team ultimately did get bounced by the Warriors in 7, but it's a great step towards success for the Kings, and their fans were happy, everyone was happy. It was a great season from them. Thank you guys for watching and listening to my opinion about 5 win-win trades in the last 5 years of NBA history. Hope you guys enjoyed, and bye, I'll see you in the next one.